You are your habits. We become what we repeatedly do, goes the quote. So true. So, what are your habits? What do you consistently do on a daily basis? If I looked at your calendar for a month, what would it say about who you are? What would it say about what matters most to you? What would it say about what your priorities are? See, oftentimes we don't think about our habits because they're just that. They're habits. They're habitual. We do them without thinking. But my invitation to you would be to sit down and take a look at what your habits are. And then ask yourself, are these habits supporting my priorities? So let's say, for example, you say, my priorities are my family, my friends, my work, and my health, just as an example. Well, if I look at your habits, can I tell that? Do your habits support those priorities? Or do your habits take you in the opposite direction? See, oftentimes we think that we are acting in a way that supports what we want, but in fact we aren't. When we get really into it and we examine truthfully what we're doing every day, we realize that our habits aren't supporting what we want to do at all. I'll give you a really simple example. I don't know of anybody who says health is not a priority in their life. I just never met anybody who would say that. Everybody says, yeah, that's part of my priorities. But I know many people who do not exercise, who smoke, who drink more than they should, who eat more than they should, who don't get enough sleep. Now, I'm not here to call you out and tell you you're a horrible person. None of us is perfect. But by and large, as a rule, do your health habits support your health? Or do you say that your health is a priority, but you live a life that completely destroys that? See, most often, our lives end up in a place we don't want, not by fluke, not by accident, not by some one tragic event, but by a series of habits that take us in the wrong direction. We repeatedly do something that takes us away from what we want to achieve. And so we have a desire or we have a priority that says health is really important. But our consistent habit is that we eat poorly, we don't get enough sleep, we don't get enough exercise, and we wake up at some point in our life and we're not healthy at all. Now, if we're lucky, we have some big event, it's like a heart attack, or someone close to us who is similar to us dies and that wakes us up, or we have some big event that kind of slaps us over the head and says, wait a minute, I need to change how I'm living here. But if you're not lucky, then you realize it too late. Health is just one example. Maybe one of your priorities or one of your values is, I want to be financially independent. I don't want to have to worry about being able to retire or being able, have enough money to support my family. But if we look at your habits, we look at your credit card statements, we see a much different story. So the question is, what are you habitually doing every day? The best way to find that out is really just to journal, just to write it down. If you have your calendar in your phone, then list it out on a piece of paper, print it. If you have a written calendar, then analyze it. Go through a month of what you do consistently, day in, day out. And then take a look and say, how does this match up with my priorities? Do they line up or not? Am I doing the things that I need to do to get me to where I want to go? Or am I doing things that run completely counter to where I want to go? We would love to tell ourselves that we're not achieving a goal that we want to achieve because of some external factor. Right? People will say, well, I'd love to be financially independent. I'd love to be debt-free, but the economy's bad. I don't make enough money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Very few people are willing to look in the mirror and say, I'm not where I want to be financially because I don't save enough and I spend too much. That's kind of ugly. It's kind of hard to say. But almost every single time, it's true. Here's a saying I love, and I love it because it's so brutally honest. If your life sucks, it's your fault. If you're not living the life you want to live, it's because you're not making the decisions you need to make and you're not living the habits you need to have in order to succeed. So take a look at your daily habits. What do you do day in and day out? And ask yourself, are these supporting the life I want to have? You're going to get a very black or white answer. If you don't, have somebody else look at it for you and let them be objective about it. Don't make excuses, just be honest. Here's the good news, you can change your habits. It takes time, takes effort. Science tells us it's roughly 21 days to acquire a new habit. But if you are intentional about it, you can acquire habits that do support where you want to go. And if you're trying to get rid of a harmful habit, the best way to do that is to replace it with a healthy one. So in other words, instead of saying, I'm just not going to eat out anymore, which is a good habit, or at least I'm not going to eat fast food and garbage anymore, then replace that with a healthy habit. Right? So when I have the craving for French fries in the drive-thru, I'm going to eat this instead. Or I'm going to go and walk for 30 minutes. So you're building a new habit as you replace the old one. That's been proven to be the most effective way to do it. If you do that consistently, you're going to look at your life 3 months from now and you're going to see a whole series of habit changes, and you're going to see yourself moving closer to the kind of life you want to have. It's that simple. So look at your habits. Change the ones that need changing. Nurture the ones that are taking you toward your goals. Share your habits that are helpful for you in the comments below. I'd love to hear the things that you do consistently that you find are really rewarding or really helpful to you. And if you're struggling with a habit you want to get rid of, you can share that too, and we're going to try and support you and help you through that. Hope that's helpful for you. Until next time, remember, don't live every day like it's your last day. Just be alive every day. What if you had 1 year left to live? Think about that. What if, instead of sitting wherever you are watching this video right now, you were sitting in a hospital bed, thousands of kilometers from home, waiting for a miracle to save your life? What would you do? How would you use that time? If you don't know my story, at 23 years old, that's exactly where I was. And I spent a year waiting on the precipice of death to find out if a donor would be found, if my life would go on or not. And I tell you that because the year that I spent waiting was one of the most powerful years of my life. And I learned a series of incredibly powerful lessons and strategies during that time that have been incredibly helpful to me. Some of those that I'm going to share with you over the course of several videos. But one of the most powerful is just to ask yourself that question. And what if you only had a year to live? How would you use that time? What would matter to you? What wouldn't matter anymore? What would your priorities be? What are some of the things on your to-do list that you haven't gotten around to yet that you would get cracking on right away? Who would you remove from your life because they're time wasters, energy wasters, and sucking the life out of you? What are the things most important to you that you aren't making enough time for right now that suddenly would become big priorities? See, as a motivational speaker, I often hear speakers use the line, live every day like the last day of your life. That's not what I mean. That's why I like this question, because I think it's more powerful. See, if we talk about living every day like the last day, people start to get images of skydiving and reckless behavior and trying to squeeze in a whole life into a day, and it just obviously doesn't work. But if you think really, like, if you had a year left, if you could plan your life around what you would do with 1 more year, it gives you a really great framework to think about your priorities, about your purpose, and about what you're passionate about. And so I invite you just to consider that question. I hope you live for another 50 or 60 or 70 years. But if you didn't, how would you change your life? And what if you started to live your life that way every single year, no matter what? How would your life look different 5 years from now if you started to live it on purpose? If you started to really focus on what counted most and got rid of all the stuff that doesn't matter at all? I'll tell you what will happen. Life will look dramatically different. You will live with more energy, with more purpose, with more drive. You'll feel more alive, more energetic. You'll be excited to get up in the morning. That's what I want for you. So answer that question. What if I only had a year left to live? I look forward to hearing your comments and your answers to that question. And until next time, remember, don't live every day like it's your last day. Just be alive every day.